All right, how's it going? I'm IPA fan, and today we are doing old school beers, gateway beers that got us really into craft brewing. I'm starting out with a Lagunitas IPA, and Ricky.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start off with all day IPA from Founders. Easy session.
Nice. Ice Queen.
Ice Queen, and I'm gonna start with some Dogfish Head. So 60 minutes.
Nice.
Come on.
Bruja?
Hey, I'm Happy Bruja. So a Boston Lager was one of my first ones, but I had cherry wheat in my fridge. So cherry wheat it is.
Nice. Rich?
I'm starting with Guinness. That's one of the first things that kind of got me into drinking beer. So figured that's what I'll start with.
Beer lover?
Beer lover here. I'm actually going to go with Heineken. This is one of the only beers actually when I started drinking beer that actually had different flavor than Bud. So this for me is somewhat of a gateway.
Nice. And J Hup?
And I'll be chugging Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Nice.
Nice.
So with that being said, first chug out of the way. Drunk Monkey, you're in the center. You want to count us down?
Nice. All right. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys. To Gordy.
Ooh.
Wow, you know what? I haven't had this in a long time. That was really good. That was actually really good.
That's a gateway to our topics.
Holy
Oh my
shit.
gosh, I was like burping as I was swallowing it.
Got some
And then you
backwash in
swallowed
there,
your burp, which is going to be sitting in your stomach now.
You know,
Yeah, I have to
haven't
admit that
had-
this is really good. I'm kind
I've
of
never
shocked.
That was
actually
really
had this.
cold.
I've never had this cherry wheat.
Yes.
There's like so many maraschino cherry flavors in it. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the first non-traditional headphones I had. It was really good.
Yeah, I'm like pleasantly surprised. I purposefully not touched it since a person brought it over, but I think I'm gonna go in there and get some dessert later.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is what sparked our interest to begin with. We just never revisited it. Just we're just busy trying out the next new thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Excuse me.
anything stand out to anybody about their gateway beer, if you will, chug? Me personally, just the carbonation on it is crazy compared to what I'm used to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
agree to that.
I was gonna say
felt
the
that,
same. Like, it's definitely not something I would choose to chug. You know,
Right?
Hey, Ice Cream, which Dogfish Head was that one? Was that the 90
the
minute?
60. No, 60.
60?
I do have aged 120 in my fridge also, but it's like from 2016. So
There you go.
Wait, it's,
I wasn't
it's in
gonna
your
open
fridge?
that. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Is it not supposed to be in the fridge?
If you're gonna, I think if you're gonna age it, you can just let it sit in like the
Just
55
anywhere.
degree or something. But yeah, it's not
Yeah.
gonna. No, it's not gonna ruin it. It's not gonna ruin it.
Yeah, someone, I had it for a while, but I don't know.
You will know soon.
So what's everyone going to be or drinking and talking about? I'm going to go with Sierra Nevada because Sierra Nevada is just, I mean, one of the first old school craft breweries I ever had, and they've never let me down. Like their beer's never been bad. It's just things change a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna go with this Two Hearted Ale from Bell's.
Nice.
Again,
Award winner.
Here in Nevada was definitely one of my beginners, but when I used to go to the bottle shops, I was used to look for something that said IPA, and this is one of the first ones that I picked up, and really damn good.
What about you, Ice Queen? What you got?
I actually wanted to drink something I got from Bruja, this Dos Encantos from Breweria in Tucson. She probably knows more about it than me, but it's a Kolsch.
Sounds really good.
And yeah, it has rose water in it. And is that how you say that word? Yeah.
Guamachiles, I think.
Guamachiles and rose water.
Nice.
So
What about you, Bruja?
I am drinking Great Notions from Gordy. It's a pink lemonade.
That sounds delicious.
Opened it before we started recording, so working on it for now.
Nice. Rich,
I'm finishing off this Guinness. I'm not prepared. I got to grab another one out of the fridge. It's literally right here. So
Yeah,
once
I'm
I'm
gonna
done
do the
with this,
same.
I'll grab something else. Yeah.
Don't feel bad, Rich. I did the same thing. Left my other bottle downstairs, so don't feel too bad.
Yo,
what
better
about
run
you,
again.
Beer Lover? What are you planning on doing?
You know what? I'm gonna stick to the old school, like from high school. I'm gonna drink a Bud Light, believe it or not.
High school.
What?
I believe it. I'm surprised nobody had a Paps.
Oh,
I know, right?
You
which
know,
is a great beer.
I was gonna get my Stella Artois, but I didn't.
What about you, J Hump? What are you doing for your?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing Blue Moon. This is one of my first ones. 1995. I didn't know they went that far back. But I started off hating this beer. I was like, what the hell is this crap? And then I kept drinking, and next thing you know, I liked it. And then I started drinking IPAs after this.
Then they throw an
So this
orange
was
in there,
definitely
right?
my gateway.
It
Yeah.
definitely has a funky flavor. There definitely has that.
Yeah,
funky,
I was like,
easy,
what the hell is
moldy-
this shit?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm gonna grab my beer,
'Cause
Rich.
I'll-
and now you gotta grab yours right there, but I'll be right back.
Yeah,
I will
I'll
show you
grab
some of my
one too.
grandpa's Budweiser. So yeah.
You gotta cut up some orange, Jaren, and drink the orange in the Blue Moon.
We're gonna
I got
pause
lime
real
juice.
quick. All right, Richard, what do you got?
So this is not really a gateway beer, but the style is. So I have a sour ale from 8-Bit. This is kind of what got me, like once I got past Guinness, what started to really kind of get me into craft beer was the different kind of fruity flavors. So I got a sour ale. This is Frothy Hollows from 8-Bit.
That's a damn good beer.
It is.
So what I guess would define a gateway beer for you guys, like in your experience?
I think one thing that defines it is something that's easily accessible. You know, I mean, you could go to every store and find the Founders. You can go to every store and find Bell's. You can find Sierra Nevada. That for me was a gateway because I wasn't seeking out all the brewery beers, but I would go to my local place or my local shop and just look for whatever had the name or the label IPA on it. That's what I would grab and try something new every week, you know? So that for me was the way to get into this, the IPAs and stuff like that.
I think people are like more spoiled now when it comes to gateway beers because for a lot of us, when we were drinking legally anyway, to get into a craft beer, it was more kind of like you're going from Bud Light to a freaking Sierra Nevada. That's kind of like a just punch in the mouth type flavor change, as opposed to like now some people are like, oh, I only drink Bud Light, and they're like, okay, try this craft brewery Kolsch or Pilsner, but it's made by a craft brewery, and they're like, okay, I can like that. Then I'll try their blonde, try their pale ale, and so on and so forth, as opposed to just like IPA from a light beer. It's a huge jump that we took, but people won't have to nowadays.
Yeah, you have to actually have to know what kind of IPA to start off with, because if you get the wrong one and it's really, really hoppy, it's a shock to somebody who's used to drinking Bud Light, Corona. It's just hoppier, more maltier, more everything that we like.
Yeah.
I remember
I was
one
gonna
of the
say, I
ones I
think-
first started drinking was like Shock Top. That was like
Oh,
something
yeah, I forgot about
different.
that.
I used to drink that.
Did you get the orange in it?
That was like Blue Moon, so I like that one too.
I don't know about you guys, but when I first got into craft, I always thought there was a division between like the wheat ale drinkers and the IPA drinkers. It was like you don't mess with those people because they're only wheat people.
I don't think like I had like a traditional like gateway, I guess. I went from my first year in college on the East Coast where like, frat parties and stuff was just beer that you had no idea what you were given. It was just in a cup. And then I come home to SoCal and it's like people are handing me Shock Top and Sierra Nevada and Blue Moon. It's like, it was a huge jump, but like I said, like first year in college, I wasn't out there trying to find beer. It was just like, I wasn't drinking beer for the taste or trying to find something good. I was just trying to have fun.
It was. Yeah,
So it's like,
really, that's all it was when we were kids.
yeah. And then I came home and it's like, holy crap, like this is actually really good. And I didn't know breweries existed or anything, but I lived next door to a bottle shop. So I was always over there. I was like, I was younger, but my guy is older. So then he was able to like go and I was like, that one looks good. That one looks good. And we just come home with just like a bunch of random bottles.
What about you, Rich? Since you're kind of new.
I was gonna say that like for me, I really didn't like beer. I hated the smell of it. I hated the taste of it. So like I didn't start with Bud Lights or Budweiser or Pabst or like anything like that. Like I did not like it at all. I once in a while I had like a Sam Adams Oktoberfest. I can like stomach that basically at the time. I started drinking Guinness, and then it was like kind of Angry Orchard and Guinness were the only two things that I really drank until I went to a brewery. And what I was going to say is like, I think that now for people, instead of having to buy something like when we were younger, buy something, bring it home, or be at a bar and just try something that's on tap and you get a full pint glass of it. Now they do flights. Like you go to a brewery, you get a flight of all these different styles and figure out what it is that you like. And that kind of helped me graduate towards something else. Like I started to realize, hey, I do like porters as well. I like sours. I like Kolsch. Like all these different styles I started to taste. And I was like, you know what? Like Al has said numerous times, if it's brewed right, then it's a lot better. The chances are like the IPAs that I had, they were just bad IPAs. They just weren't good IPAs. And now I have more of a palate for that. So
So can I ask a quick question to everybody? How fast or what was the time period between when you started drinking craft beers that you like actually visited or went and seeked out those breweries and like the places that actually make some of these beers? Because I know for me it was a large gap, because I was drinking craft in North Carolina and I still came to New York maybe 4 or 5 years later, and I still didn't really seek that out. I would just buy whatever was at the store until somebody told me, it's like, hey, they make this stuff down the road here. You could probably go get it at the brewery, So what was the gap for everybody between craft beer drinking and actually visiting breweries?
Mine was instantaneous. Like for me, mine was instantaneous. That's kind of how I got introduced. Like I wasn't buying it. I'd be out on travel with some buddies. We'd go to a brewery to actually eat. We go to like a brewery that had food and everything. We go there to have dinner, and he's like, hey, we're gonna get a flight. Let's try some beers out. And like mine was like almost right away. And if I liked it, then I just ran with it because I was like, well, if I found something I like, I'm gonna keep drinking this, because at the time it was hard for me to find something that I really liked.
I think I was about like 6 or 7 years. Like I had no idea that breweries existed. And then this group, the IE Brew, just started following me on Instagram. And I'm like, holy crap, there are breweries like right across the street. So I made my way over there.
Nice.
For me, it was just when they started opening up. Like I started drinking. I lived on the eastern shore of Virginia, which is like so desolate. There's like nothing there. But north of us was Delaware. And that's why it was easy for me to get Dogfish Head. And they have their brewery there. But also Evo opened up a spot in Salisbury, Maryland. And that was like right by me. So that's how I ended up going. That was my first brewery on purpose anyway. And then, of course, moving here to San Diego from Maryland was like, oh, now it's me to do my stuff. So
You're in fucking heaven.
Al, what about you, man? I saw you smelling that Bud Light too.
The thing is, like, I'm like not looking to drink it actually, but like to Rich's point, like I hated the taste of beer. I never liked the taste of beer. The only thing that we were drinking, and I mean, we started drinking like at 16 years old. We were waiting outside Cumberland Farms with like whatever bunch of money we could scrap together and ask the oldest person that walked in,
Hey,
"Can you
mister."
buy us whatever," and bought the cheapest shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, to Rich's point, I didn't like the maltiness, the bitterness, none of that stuff. But to Ricky's question, as far as like the amount of time, I guess it probably took me 9-10 years, because that one point where I just tried this one beer that I was like, oh, let me just try it on a whim, that had a lot of flavor, it had a lot of character, it had a lot of aroma, and that's what made me think, like, why am I drinking this piss to catch a buzz when I could be enjoying my beer and catching a buzz? So yeah, I mean, this is still sitting. I haven't drank it yet. I don't know if I want it, but I do remember it wasn't great. So Rich, you're not the only person in that boat of not liking beer.
So me personally, I went from regular beer to seeking out craftish type beer really fast. I waited till I was probably like 18, 19 to drink. And then once I just didn't really care for it. I was like, might as well have liquor. You get, drunk faster and feel better. But once I actually started getting back into beer, this beer wasn't doing it for me. So I was looking for something better quickly, and found Samuel Adams and Sierra Nevada pretty quickly. And then from there, I just got into looking for any craft brewery there was, period. And I lucked out and found Stone back in the day, and even went up to San Francisco. I think it was like 25, looking for breweries back when like breweries didn't really open up to the public, which is pretty crazy. I remember going to the place called Toronado's. They have one in San Diego too. Awesome little beer shop type place. And when I asked them like breweries I could go to and everything, they were like, I don't know about that in San Francisco. And I was like, what? Let me go in and try some beer. And they just like weren't really open to the public for the most part, which is, it's crazy to think now. What about you, Jay Hump?
So I started off as a wheat guy, and I definitely was one of those guys that was like, okay, these IPAs are nasty. Like, these people drinking nasty beer and stuff like that. So that transition to IPAs were like, was real rough for me until I found that one, like everybody does. I usually just drink the beers like at a bar or at a restaurant, stuff like that on tap. Like for like going to a brewery, probably like 5-7 years until I like met my sister, and she took me to the actual brewery, and she gave me a flight, and she's like, "There's something here you're gonna like." So she gave me like all IPAs and shit, and I tasted one, it's nasty, this nasty. Ooh, all right, this one's good,
That's the one.
So
That's the
this is the one, and that's what started
trial and
me off.
error.
Well, besides me drinking Lagunitas, because I think my family had that. Lagunitas and Guinness, they had that in the house, and I was like, okay, I'll drink this, and that kind of like just took me off, and here I am today, chugging IPAs and shit.
Yeah.
What brewery was that your sister took you to? Cheers.
The brewery right down the street from my house. Like I had no idea that was there. She was like, I'm taking you to the brewery for your birthday. I was like, all right, let's go. Yeah, the brewery, yeah.
I got you.
You were asking like what defines a gateway beer. I think a gateway beer is like that one beer that's going to be like, what's like this but better.
Yes.
So
Sure.
it's like
That's
I
a good
like
point.
it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's like I like it, but there's I want it to be tweaked just a little bit. And it's like you keep tweaking it from there, and then you end up here.
So I'll tell you the specific beer that made me curious was I was in the airport, my flight got delayed, and I had I think it was like 2 hours to kill. I was in Baltimore at the airport, and there's a DeClaw Brewery like bar there, and they had Strawberry Letter 23 on tap, and it was a strawberry tart IPA. And I was like, can I taste that? And he gave me a small taster of it or whatever. And I was like, this is actually pretty good. And before I got on the flight, I had 3 22-ounce glasses of it.
Nice.
And I was like, I think I found something that I like. So that was the specific beer that made me curious. Like, okay, an IPA is not just hoppy, like overly hoppy and stuff like that. So that really got me curious. And then, talking to Sam, her kind of leading me down that path a little bit and sharing other breweries out there in San Diego with me. So I could kind of get an idea of the different types of hops and different flavors. So that was specifically like the gateway beer that made me curious. You know, other things got me drinking beer, but that was what made me really curious of, this is a complete different world that I'm not familiar with.
I think one thing when it comes to like getting into craft beer in general, I'm sure I've told you guys hundreds of times, I always say, which is the difference between eating a burger at McDonald's and eating a burger at a mom and pop shop. It could be the same type of situation, same setup, but it's just a little bit better. You know, it's the love is in there, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely taste the ingredients a little bit purer. It's not mass produced. And if someone's not open to that, then it's like, well, how you can't really have a conversation about like trying different beers if you're like, no, I love McDonald's and that's all I want. It's like, fine, you live your miserable life. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. I think a lot. I think like bottle shops and stuff like that. You know, as they started coming up too, like they played a big role in getting, especially me, getting me into craft beer because, like I said, I used to go to the bodega or wherever and get the regular that I could always find, right? Anything that said IPA on it. Then I started finding out that there's places that actually sell, like bottle shops that actually sell this stuff. You start talking to the people there, and that's one of the first places that I tasted a other half beer. I was looking for something that had IPA. They had this beer on tap, and he goes like, "No, you need to try some of this stuff." And dude, and I was like, "Where is this from? Like, who the hell makes this?" He was like, "They're in Brooklyn, man. They're like down the road. You could go." I was like, "Holy shit, I could go there." So next thing I know, I'm going there every fucking weekend, you know. But it's just seeking out, I think, right? It's a matter of like that person wanting to seek out, which I really enjoyed that part. Like, I don't know if I've told you guys many times that I'm that person that seeks out different stuff always. I know that like you can get into like your favorites and you always drink your favorites, but even with the breweries that I love, I always seek out the new stuff or the stuff that I haven't tried from them, or you know, I'm always looking for that new stuff. So I'm glad that there's places like that for us now, you know.
You know what, Ricky? I think like you actually had like a random memory pop up in my head. So it's like I was drinking those like orange weeds like back in the day.
Okay.
I hadn't had an IPA, and we would go back then to like a lot of like little clubs and dive bars and stuff. And they would always have like beer specials, like this beer on tap for $2 or whatever. And so the first one I think I had was like Lagunitas or Stone. And after that, every single time I'd go, I'd be like, I just want an IPA. Like I was done with the cocktails. I didn't want alcohol anymore. I was just like, just IPA.
That's how it is. Like when you go to Vegas, like I used to get nothing but whiskey or vodka or whatever. Now I'm in the club like, hey, y'all got any beer and shit? You know, it completely changed.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and it's like you go to a place now, you're like, oh, what do you have on draft? That's crap or craft, and they're like,
man, we're a fancy restaurant here.
Well, then I noticed the big one I always get is Lagunitas or like Green Flash, but there's really like no in between. I feel like when you go and ask for craft at a certain place.
Right.
Lagunitas, I feel is like one of the most underrated breweries in all of San Diego. Like they make incredibly good beer, and they've never gotten huge. I think on purpose, like they kind of don't want to, but they've always made some.
We talking about Lagunitas?
Yeah.
Lagunitas
They-
craft anymore, isn't it? Aren't they owned by
They're owned.
Green
yeah,
Flash,
they're not craft anymore.
No, not Lagunitas. Green Flash, I meant.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're
I
owned
Listen,
also.
Lagunitas.
They're also
Never even
owned
heard
by
Green
a
Flash.
big company. I think they're owned by like a Chicago
Really?
something. I think, yeah.
You just broke my heart.
It happened a couple years ago.
Damn.
And I actually was gonna buy a Lagunitas today, but you know, ever since they sold out, I was like, I'm not gonna buy them no more. But I'm not gonna hate, dude. That was my go-to back in the days too.
Right.
They sold in 2018 to WCIPA LLC,
Damn it.
following a foreclosure.
Damn it.
Mm.
I'll go
Did
burn
any of you guys used to drink beer as a teenager? Like I used to drink like Zimas and those St. Ides, like malt liquor,
Yeah.
ish.
You mean you
Like-
drink underage?
No. Yes, no.
How could
But
you?
like for us, we would stay drinking 40s, like always Old English. So I feel like if you could drink a 40 of that, then you obviously can deal with the taste of beer. You know what I mean? That's beer. I mean, it's a lot. Obviously, like before you guys said, like you're drinking just to drink, right? You don't care what it is.
I just want to get off.
40 of something, it's gotta be okay to you. You know what I mean? Like,
I think ice queen
Mhm.
though, it's like to that word, that phrase that you said, it's like you can deal with it. So it's like
yeah.
that's all that was available. So you had to deal with it. You didn't have the
Yeah.
options that you have now.
We
Yeah,
would
and I
drink like
remember.
the St. Ides tasted fruity and stuff, but then we would turn around and drink like, you know, any 40 that was cheap enough. Those Colt 45s, like drink all
Valentine's. Ugh,
Yeah.
that was gross. Iron
King
Horse.
Cobra. I think
Yeah,
King
the
Cobra is like one of the cheapest 40s you can get. Valentine, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Have you guys ever gotten to the point now where you drink so much craft that if you go to like, generally it's nicer places, like I think Bruja was saying, and the best beer they have will be like a Sierra Nevada or Lagunitas or something. You're just like, I'll just have water. Leave me alone.
Yeah, if it's not going to be worth the while of drinking, like
Yeah.
for flavor,
They,
give me the
they got
water.
the Sam seasonal.
I don't know about the rest of you, but before I go out to a restaurant, I review their beer menu before I make the decision to actually.
Yeah.
I want to
Dang,
have
wow.
something in bottles or on tap.
That's a new level. I like that.
If not, I'll bring something, and I'll say I'll buy the glass because they don't want you to bring an alcohol. But I say I'll buy the glass. And,
Right. Right. I tried that. I brought my own beer in the restaurant.
Really?
yeah, I mean, some of them let you do it as long as you hide the can because the other people are gonna be like, oh, can I have one of those too? Like, well, we don't sell it because he brought it in.
Mhm. Down here, I'm kind of lucky. They always got some kind of IPA on tap. You know, it's usually 394 from AleSmith, Shock Top, things like. They still, it's not the greatest, but it's something. You know, Blue Moon's always.
I was at an island the other day and they had Modern Times on tap. I was like, oh, give me that.
Is Modern Times a big deal for everybody in California because it's on the shelf here, and I think I've only ever had one. Is it really good?
It's good. Yeah, it's on the shelf. It's on tap. Like, but it's good. You know, it's not like
I've heard it's fallen off. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I
it being
do like
great.
it, but I do
Anything-
like it a lot. But
Anything that's getting
don't know.
bigger, it's kind of hard to keep up the quality. But I think they're pretty damn good beer. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind drinking it anytime.
yeah,
I
it
had
holds
a-
up for sure.
I think they're a good staple. They're
I
not
had a
going to
cream
go
color
away.
table. Wasn't like stellar.
Like if I had the choice between Modern Times and like another local brewery or something, I'd go for the local brewery. But they're not. You can't go wrong with Modern Times. I think that's a good gateway beer.
Yes, yes, I agree. So with that being said, is there anything anybody else wants to add? Because I'm going to actually cut this one a little bit short. No?
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's.
Yay! Happy Valentine's Day.